afternoon, everybody, from the beautiful Ocean Casino Sportsbook right behind us. It is the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. The Eagles put a flat-out whooping on the Giants today, 48-22. Don't even worry about that 22, because it was like who cares touchdown that the Giants scored. They dominated another opponent in every game. Now, fellas, I've got a list of accomplishments here that I've got to read. And so hang on. It may take us into the first commercial. All right, so let's start. Let's start with this. The Eagles are 12-1. They clinched the playoff berth. This is the first time they've been 12-1 since 2004. You remember that year, right?
Oh, yeah.
They have 23 points now in their last three games, at least 23 points in the last three games. Right. And Jalen Hurts, let's talk about this. He's got 20 TD passes now and 10 rushing touchdowns. And if he's not the MVP frontrunner, I'll leave the show right now and go deal cards at blackjack. I'll tell you that right now. A.J. Brown goes over 1,000 receiving yards today. Miles goes over 1,000 rushing yards, 17 for 144, including a breathtaking, earth-scorching 40-yard touchdown, his second of the game, late in the game. With Hurts, it's the first time that three players in Eagles history have scored 10 touchdowns or more. The season's not even over yet. They took the first drive 84 yards down the field for a touchdown. They answered anytime the Giants got near scoring, got close or whatever, got the momentum back, the Eagles would score again. And except for injuries to Blankenship and the punter, Aaron Sipas, it was a game that just keeps rolling and a team that keeps rolling. And for the first time, guys, I look at this team right now as the Super Bowl favorite. I'm tired of considering those AFC teams. This team is just demolishing people.
Well, I don't know how you can argue against that because they play so consistent and so dominant on both sides. They go into games knowing exactly what we talk about all week long, what the opponent's deficiency is, and they come out and attacking it. Prime example, first drive of the game. You knew the Giants going into this game had no Xavier McKinney. They had no Adoree Jackson, so they were definitely weak on the secondary. Eagles marched down the field 14 plays. 7 plays were passing plays to 7 different receivers to score a touchdown, and they eat up 8 minutes on the clock. It's like they toy with opponents, and there's nothing you can do. It's like a little brother picking on a big brother, right? You know, you pick and pick, and there's nothing you can do when a big brother decides to put his foot on your throat. And that's exactly what happened, Seth, when you look at this Eagles team, the way they played against Green Bay, the way they played against Tennessee, and again today against the Giants.
Well, you know, it's just pretty evident to me, you know, when you look at this football team, it's just a great football team from head to bottom. I'm not even going to assign them good because defenses and defensive coordinators really can't do a whole lot with them. When they want to run the ball, they run the football. When they want to throw the football, they throw the football. Then they confuse you with their balance and run to pass from time to time. And then defensively, you know, Jonathan Gannon is just, you know, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde sometimes. Today, I mean, he just blitzed out of his mind today in the second half of this football game. And I'm like, where had he been? You know, so it's the unpredictability, the consistency, and the efficiency that this team plays with that just kind of leaves you scratching your head like, you know, who can stop them? You know, who can beat them when you really stop and think about it? Because, I mean, you think about let's think about the best teams in the league right now. You know, when Kansas City is right, you know, they're the best team in the AFC. The defense of San Francisco, you know, Dallas, when they're hitting on all cylinders and you know, they had to pull a rabbit out of their behind today just to beat the Houston Texans. So I'd be real curious to see what those power rankings looked like last week from them clowns over on ESPN talking about, you know, the Eagles are ranked 4th and Dallas is the number 1 team in the NFL. But I digress. When you look at those teams and you put that offense up against any one of those elite level defenses, and I don't see them stopping them. And then you put their offenses up against our defense when our defense is at its best, and it just seems like they couldn't move the ball on our defense when we're 100% and when we're doing what we do.
You know, I get so excited I missed a couple of things here. So I got to put the glasses on. I meant to say they scored 123 points in their last 3 games. They've scored more than 30 points in 6 consecutive games. They lead the NFL in points. They've won 9 in a row. That's their 9th straight victory at the Link. I mean, this team shows no signs of slippage. And you're talking about those other teams. Those other teams are good teams, but they have all shown some signs of slippage. Buffalo has shown that. Kansas City Chiefs has shown that. The 49ers are coming, but are they complete enough at this point? I don't know how anybody could look at the team the way they're playing. And the Giants really were not a formidable foe today. I mean, they may stink. I don't know. But it's like every team that they come up against, they do just what's necessary, and they never fall back.
No, listen, they do what they want to do.
Exactly.
Because I'm telling you, today was one of those days, D-Gun, excuse me.
Yeah.
Today was one of those days where, you know, you look at statistically who the Giants were, okay? Really, one would expect it for the Eagles to come out and just run the ball all over the place. The Giants are ranked 22nd, you know, not 22nd, let me get this right. They're ranked 23rd coming into this game, total defense. Against the run, they were 26th, giving up 141 yards a game. So you would naturally think that the Eagles come out, run. What did they do? They came out throwing the ball all over the map. They get a lead, and they come out at halftime, and they just going, and Miles Sanders just loses his darn mind in the second half.
And you know why they can do that?
They're basically doing what they want to do.
Exactly. They can do that because they know they can do it. You know, they do it because they know the other team can't. It doesn't matter whether they pass or run the ball. It doesn't really matter anymore what that team is weak against. They impose their will on everybody.
Well, as I said on the pregame show, when Fabian Moreau is your best cornerback still standing for the Giants, what are you going to do? You're going to torch that secondary. And that's exactly what they did. They came out and basically told the Giants, here's our game plan off the bat. Now, we may switch it up when we get bored of torching you through the air, but they came out and torched this team through the air. Underneath, deep balls, it doesn't make a difference. You know, Giants had a lot of inexperience in the back end of that defense. They're a beat-up team across the board on offense and defense. And the Eagles, the thing I love most about this Eagles team is no matter who they lose in terms of a frontline player, their depth is so good, the next player comes in and it really doesn't hurt them. You look at the talent disparity on a lot of teams across the league where you lose a frontline player and there's a significant drop-off in the next player that steps in. Not with this Eagles team.
Yeah, Seth, the Giants are a team that likes to blitz. I mean, they lead the league in blitzing. So if you don't get home, that secondary is not going to cover what the Eagles have out there. I mean, it was a joke.
Listen, you can't cover what the Eagles have out there even if you don't blitz.
That's what I mean. They're in single covering those guys.
Yeah,
you can't do
but
it.
you know what? That's who they are. And when that's who you are and that's your mindset, you know, you pretty much just, you know, you stick to your guns. I mean, like a leopard doesn't change his spots. You know, if he's got spots, guess what? He's going to show them spots.
Giants had 2 chances today. They really, if Saquon
they had
was
no
healthy,
chance
well,
today.
As far as what their plan was, if Saquon was healthy, they had to run the ball, keep the Eagles off the field, and the quarterback had to make some plays with his feet. We saw right away that Saquon Barkley was not 100%. So once the Eagles scored the first touchdown and dominated them down the field going 84 yards, what is that team going to do to answer? Absolutely
nothing, because the Giants offense runs through Saquon. They don't have the wide receivers. They have a rookie tight end who was hurt, who came back from an injury. An offensive line that's been a passed-up offensive line for weeks. There's nothing you could do. With Saquon playing at less than 50%, and you saw how few touches he had in this game and how few plays he was in for this game, and you saw him rotating that neck on the sideline, you knew he wasn't close to 100%. If he's not in the game, it's bad enough the Giants didn't have much of a chance going into this game. With him not in this game, they had no chance at all. And I tell you, Mike, the most impressive thing about this game was you knew Wink Martindale was going to blitz. Giants, as we expected, came out blitzing. The Eagles' protection from start to finish in this game was impeccable. The Giants' blitzes really didn't get home, as we're accustomed to seeing. And as you said in the pregame show, a lot of times it's not about getting a quarterback to the ground. It's about making him make a decision sooner than he wants to do.
Right.
Jalen Hurts had all the time he wanted to, for the most part, to make whatever decision he needed to make.
Well, listen, they picked it up. They were ready for it. And that's the one thing that I was wondering, because, like I said, they hadn't seen this type of pressure package since week 1 when they played against the Detroit Lions. and Aaron Glenn just threw the kitchen sink at him. So I wanted to see how was it, how did Shane Steichen and how did Nick Sirianni and how was Jalen Hurts prepared, for this onslaught of blitzing. Even though it hasn't been that effective for him, you can create confusion just with pressure alone. And Jalen came through, with flying colors. Let me go back to what you guys were talking about. They had a chance. They had no snowball's chance in hell. Okay,
no, that's not what I meant. The chance.
I get.
As
I
far
get
as
it.
the game plan.
I get it. But okay, the Eagles had 7 sacks. That's 13 sacks in the last 2 weeks. Okay, they had no chance, none whatsoever. Even if Saquon came out and was healthy and was running the ball the way he needed to, the amount of pressure that they exerted on Daniel Jones early in this game and throughout this game, they had no chance at all.
I'll amend that. I'll say their only chance was if that happened. How about that? That's what I meant to say.
Well, it was a total mismatch. The Eagles' edge rushers against the Giants' tackles. It was a total mismatch the entire game. Giants tackles, even their first-round pick, Evan Neal, could not handle Josh Sweat, could not handle Reddick, could not handle Brandon Graham all day long.
Listen, I don't really know what to say. They're 12-1 now. 12-1. They've done it a couple times, actually. We're back in the 50s, and they did it in 1980 with Vermeil, and they did it in 2004 with the Donovan team. I don't know. I need some research from somebody out there because they're going to be 13-1. They go to Chicago next week. That team's not going to beat the Eagles, even if they slip off a little bit. They're not going to win that game. Has an Eagle team ever started 13-1? I'm thinking that next week they make history because I don't believe that 2004 team won that next game after they went 12-1. But regardless, my point here is they're just unfettered. This team just goes out and people ask me all the time, well, how many do you think they're going to lose? Is there another loss on the schedule? And I go, there's got to be. But now I don't even see that. I can't imagine this team coming out and losing what they put together now and slipping down to a level where some inferior team can beat them.
Well, the only possible loss you have to consider is that last game of the season against the Giants. The Eagles could already have the number 1 seed wrapped up, sit all of their regulars, and the Giants may need that game to even get in the back door of the playoffs. So the Giants play their starters against the Eagles' backup. But outside of that, even with this team having to go down to Dallas for that Christmas Eve game, I'm not looking at another potential Eagles loss until that last game, which could be a meaningless game for the Eagles.
They are not losing they're not losing to the Giants. By the time the Giants get to Week 18. They're going to have their U-Hauls and SUVs and all that gassed up, heated, ready, to actually get out of town. That's what they're going to be. That's where they're going to be. The game that – and it's not a respect thing so much more than it just is a fact. The Dallas game is going to be a tough game for them.
Right.
Okay? Because they're going to have Dak back. Everybody talked about, the first win – against Cooper Rush. They're going to be in Dallas on Christmas Eve. That's going to be a big game.
Sure.
And anytime that you have to go on the road and you have to play a game on the road, it is a tough game, okay? And Dallas knows that they're going to have to win that game, for their playoff seeding.
Sure.
So at the end of the day, they've got to, they're going to come out, with guns blazing. Now, the question is going to be, how is the Eagles going to react to it? And how are the coaching staff, how are they going to adjust to what they see? How have Dallas adjusted, to the chaos and the conflict that Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen put Micah Parsons in, okay? What's going to be their adjustment to that? I mean, this is going to be an interesting matchup.
It really is.
But I think if there's one team that they could potentially lose to, it's got to be the Cowboys.
Okay,
nobody else on the schedule.
But
they're going to win every other game.
But even if they lose that game, they will still have a 1-game lead.
Absolutely.
So and we don't know all the tiebreaker scenarios yet. So even with a 1-game lead, if they go into that last game with the Giants and they've already locked up a number 1 seed, even if they lose that game to Dallas, I'm not playing my regulars that entire game against the Giants.
So somebody made this, and if Dallas loses today, then I agree with your assertion.
Right.
It doesn't matter. But somebody said that you know, if they win every other game and they only lose the game to the Cowboys, they're good.
Yeah, forget about that. Forget about that. I hear a lot of people say that. I dismiss them. Hold on to these thoughts. We're going to get deeper. But there are a lot of Giants fans here. I see some Jets fans here, but a lot of Giants fans here at Ocean Casino. And they're about to crash their cars in the parking garage. So that would be a good time to tell those folks how to save up to 40% on their car insurance right now.
Great
Here's
transition.
a message from our friends at Del Val.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Val Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
Upon Lehocky Postgame show, and I'm Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. So, Jalen Hurts today, 21 of 31 for 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, and also ran one, another rating of 100+. The thing about him, there was a funny moment on the sidelines because A.J. Brown, was it A.J. and Quez that were yucking it up on the side?
All three of them.
Or all three of them.
A.J., Quez, and Devontae.
Right,
all three of them.
Yeah, they're all having great games, yucking it up. And next to him is Jalen Hurts, stoic as he can be, right? I mean, the man just is unaffected by anything, just goes out and plays. And it's kind of odd that he doesn't smile or get gleeful, but I guess I'll take that with the way this guy is playing.
And listen, I'll take it too. You want to see something funny? I wish we had the video where we could show. There was a ball that A.J. Brown dropped, and they flashed the camera over to Jalen's face. Look, and he was looking at him like, man, all that yucking it up you doing over on the sideline, catch the damn ball, man. But
he's all business.
He is all business all the time, and I think that when you think about a quarterback, that's the way you want your quarterback to be. You can celebrate when it's the proper time to celebrate. The game is over. He's walking off the field. He's waving at the fans. He's yelling. But when it's game time, the only thing is on his mind. I mean, I've never seen it. It was almost like he was over there asleep. I mean, if you could have walked over and took his pulse, and it probably would have been like 40-something. I'm like, dude, look at this dude.
We look for moments like that in the game to stay amused because the Eagles had this completely in control. And so now I'll mention the punter follies. There were punter follies in this, D. Let's start out with the Giants punter, Jamie Galla, who actually dropped the ball and panicked so much that he then drop-kicked it, which is illegal. You can't do that. They lost it down and 10 yards for that. An illegal punt. I don't think I've ever seen that called. And then, of course, Aaron Siposs, he gets his punt block, he scoops it up and does the Heisman run to the sidelines, and he gets buried and gets hurt. So I had to mention, I'm hard on kickers and punters, but they were amusing parts of this game, right?
I had never heard of the drop punt before, and we sat there anxiously wondering, what are they going to call on this play? And not only was it a loss of down, it was a 10-yard penalty. Eagles get the ball deep in the Giants' territory, and they punch it in for another touchdown. I mean, it's like when it rains, it pours. And oh, by the way, it was raining a lot in MetLife Stadium today.
I mean, I don't think I've ever seen that. You could drop kick the ball. The problem is it can't hit the ground and then you kick it. Right. It's an illegal kick. So I'm standing there not knowing the rule because we'd never seen that before. I'm like, okay, it's a 10-yard penalty. They're going to make a re-kick. And it's 4th down, and the ump goes, oh, by the way, it's a loss of down and a 10-yard. I'm like, wait a minute, they're about to get the ball at the 30-yard line. Are you kidding me? This is like a monumental mess up.
I have to laugh because the dichotomy between kickers and real football players. I know I'm hard on kickers, but that dude's got like the rock star hair, right? Look at me, I got this rock star hair.
The beard.
Play like that. There's no question he needs to be duct taped to his locker and shorn, right? By tough guys.
You were talking about Jalen Hurts and how stoic he was on the sideline, and I think we have to constantly remind ourselves this young man is only 24 years old and shows the poise of a 10-year veteran. And you're right, he doesn't get caught up in all the yucking it up on the sideline. This time, his facial expressions, his body mannerisms tell you look, there's a time and place for everything, and when I'm out here between the lines, I'm all about my business. He's already thinking about the next play, next series, how they're going to attack.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, light years above what we saw from Jalen Hurts in 2021.
That's a coach's son, I'll tell you that. All right, let's go to the Eagles.